Hey folks, this is Kalani, going to be looking at the buildings I'll be starting with in the Garrison going forward into Warlords of Draenor, so this is when I'm levelling up, obviously. Now, I'll give a brief explanation for each one, but I will give links to the videos I've done previously on, a little detailed explanation of what these buildings actually do. So we'll start with the large buildings. I'm going to be taking the Goblin Workshop and the Barracks. So the Barracks is the first one that you build and it's completely free, so that shouldn't be an issue at all. But the Goblin Workshop is going to come in a little later. So the Goblin Workshop provides you with a variety of inventions and gadgets. If you haven't seen any of these range from rockets you can fly for a brief duration, a glider which first launches you all the way into the air, and then there's the famous nuke, which is basically a nuke. The only thing missing from it is that StarCraft 2 ghost saying, "Nuclear launch detected." It blows stuff up, basically. And the reason why I'll be taking the Goblin Workshop, aside from it being incredibly fun and just awesome overall, is that a lot of those inventions can help you with leveling. Surprisingly so. The Robo-Rooster can take down group monsters and elites with no troubles at all, making it one of the most ridiculous things in the game. And it's a Guardian pet. You can have it for such a long duration. If you really wanted to, you could have it all day, which makes this building really powerful, if for nothing else, just to help you getting through those quests quicker. So that's why we're taking the Goblin Workshop. If any of the inventions, such as the rockets, you can build, or you can carry two, you can build two on a 5-second cooldown, I believe. If they're usable with party members, then that just increases the usability. That's just another reason for me to pick this up, so I can happily fly over mountains with my leveling partner. So that's the Goblin Workshop. That is very personal in that I love the inventions. There's no need to take this building at all if you're not a fan of the inventions and want to have fun with them. You can take the Spirit Lodge for the portals, if that's something which interests you. You can take the stables. I'll pick up the stables a little later, because I'm not all that interested in getting the mounts right away. And that's really the only thing that I would be bothered about there. The level 2 has changed, so that's sort of not as appealing as it used to be. And then the War Mill I'll actually get when I replace my barracks. So let's talk about the barracks, because the barracks is going to be one of the easiest ways to level up your followers. It provides you with patrol missions, which give more experience to your followers for a shorter time period spent on the mission. And then you also get a bodyguard. The level 2 bodyguard isn't all that amazing, but if you can have a bodyguard and the Robo-Rooster, you pretty much have nothing to worry about, so that's kind of cool. And it also increases your follower limit. So what this allows you to do is level up the most followers as quickly as you possibly could. So the level 3 increases your follower limit by 5. That's the only way to increase the follower limit of how many you can have active at any one time. And then the patrol missions are actually the easiest way to level them. So after getting several to level 100, hopefully enough to warrant losing that 5 extra on the level 3 barracks, I'll swap this over to the War Mill, simply because you can't level them past 100. You can level them up to epic. Essentially you go from uncommon, rare, and then to epic, and that is done by experience, but I think at that point the item level becomes more valuable. So to start with, I'll go for Goblin Workshop and Barracks. As I get my followers up to 100, I'll swap the Barracks for a War Mill. And then later on, if I decide I either get bored of the Goblin Workshop or I don't actually need the War Mill anymore, I'll swap it for a Stables so I can start collecting my pets. So that's the large buildings. Let's have a look at the medium ones, and I don't think these will change a great deal. The only one here which is kind of iffy for me is the Frostwall Tavern, simply because that's an easier way to get random followers. If you're missing something with a particular trait, that's really nice to kind of fill that gap. And then I want to know what the treasure hunts are, and if they're useful. If they're useful, then that's going to be nice, but that seems like a really weird gamble. Whereas the trading post gives you access to the increased reputation, which I think is going to be very nice when you first level through Warlords, or when you first ding 100. I guess it's probably going to be more useful then. But it also grants you access to a little bit of gear at the faction vendor, transmog at the faction vendor, a mount and a pet at the faction vendor, and then you've got access to the crafting materials and Garrison resources, there we go, that trading deal, which I think is going to be really important for establishing your garrison. I'm going to be taking double gathering on my main, so I'll be able to throw a lot of crafting materials at this trading post to get enough garrison resources to last me through the whole garrison process. So that's my thinking on that end. And then the barn is ridiculous. The first thing is that my main's going to be a hunter, and I don't have skinning, so this is going to be my way to get leather. So that's already pretty important to me. And then after that, I'm also going to be cooking, so the rare meats is pretty fun too. But the thing that sells this is the savage blood. Level 3 barn is the only place to get savage blood. That savage blood is used in all epic recipes, meaning this is going to be a gold maker. The barn level 3 is pretty much going to be on everyone's list, I think, simply because of the savage blood. You can either craft with it and make some very shiny items, or you can sell it for a pretty penny. Either way, the barn is there to stay, in my opinion. If I get bored of the trading post, or I find myself in, nice bank situation with garrison resources and I don't need any more, I'll swap it out for the Frostwall Tavern and then get some random followers and fill up followers like that and check out the treasure hunts. When I've got enough followers, I might go for the Gladiator's Sanctum, just for fun, really, and then doing all the achievements with Broken Bones, but they're not really a priority, and I'm going to go with these two to start with. So for small buildings, this really isn't all that much of a contest. I'm going to be taking my tannery. Here I'd recommend taking either your profession building, so if you have blacksmithing, take the forge. If you don't have either like me and you're going to be running double gathering, take the armor profession, which you would otherwise use. So I'm going to take the tannery because that's what makes my mail gear. Yeah, if you are a plate wearer with double gathering, take the forge because that's going to be able to craft you plate gear. That's just to gain access to everything which is nice and dandy going forward. If you're more interested in the weapons, obviously engineering or the forge might be better, but I think I prefer having my armor. The other one is the Enchanter's Study, and you might think that's a little strange because I'm not enchanting. That's like the reason why I'm taking the building, because I'm not an enchanter. The Enchanter's Study lets you disenchant anything that you come across, so you don't need to be an enchanter to turn your purples into crystals. Any spare rares or epics that you get can be turned directly into gold just by having the Enchanter's Study. It also saves you materials if you have an enchanting alt or an enchanting friend, Basically, you don't need to be an enchanter to disenchant your stuff. And that's pretty cool. I really like that. That's gonna either save me a lot of time, save me a lot of effort, or make me quite a bit of gold, which I'm happy with. Then the last building is the Salvage Yard. So, the Salvage Yard is kind of a little bit of a wild card in that it's very RNG based and it can give you some very nice rewards. So you can get any number of crafting materials from this, but you can also get follower items to increase that item level, and you can also get player items at level 3. So at level 3 you have a chance to get rares, you have a chance to get epics. It's just a chance for more loot. And I'm not really interested in any other building personally, because I'll have all of the professions that I'm interested in across my alts. So yeah, it's kind of a toss-up between the Salvage Yard and the Storehouse, and the only thing that I'm really interested in with the Storehouse is the extra work orders. I mean, it gives you access to your bank and gives you access to the Void Storage and Transmog, but I'm perfectly happy going to, any other place which has those available to do that. I'm not really willing to build a building. I could just get random drops, or maybe not, but either way, I'm going to be getting more from the Salvage Yard, I feel, than the Storehouse. So that's the buildings that I'll be going with to start with. That may change depending on whether the functionality of the buildings changes, or whether I simply want to fill out the rest of my achievements. I want the mounts from the stables eventually. It just depends on when I'll actually get around to it. I want all of the achievements from the Gladiator's Sanctum. It just depends when I'll get around to it. So I'm kind of thinking functionality and potentially growing my wallet quite nicely with this little setup. And this is with double gathering, so do bear that in mind. But if you have any questions or queries or want to explore any of these buildings further, I'll give you a link to a playlist which has all of the buildings and a nice detailed look-see at them. But if you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comments section below and I'll try to get back to you. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.